everybody, and welcome back to another day of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got the awesome. Introduce
Kristina
yourself.
Santiago.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. I think there's a little bit of a
I
time gap.
apologize.
I think there's like a time issue too, like a time
I
thing.
missed my cue apparently.
Ah, it happens.
Hmm.
Yes, Christina, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good. So I'm really excited to chat with you because I picked this movie and I hadn't watched it, but
Mhm.
I was aware of Chad Farron, the director, and some of the stuff he had done before, but
Oh,
I hadn't seen this one, and since I hadn't seen it, I didn't know like it literally starts off with like nudity in the movie,
yeah.
you know. Did
Yeah.
that didn't bother you at all, did it? Like, because there's a lot of freaking nudity in the movie that I
There's
was not.
yeah, I was about to say there's a lot of weird innuendo throughout this entirety of this movie. And it's all yeah, there's a lot going on there. In that I particularly am a very open person, so it's
Mm.
like it doesn't bother me and I'm just like where's the line between awesome, great, good part of the movie and then like gratuitous?
Right. Like like in the beginning, usually a lot of horror films start that off that way. It's just a way to get the people's attention and to like keep them going, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But then it gets to be like, all right, there's a little bit, and I get it because there's like a culty aspect of it. So some of the nudity
Yeah.
doesn't bother me because but I don't know. Some of it just felt like there was way too much of it. And even there's like later we'll get to it more, but like there was a girl doing like fire dance and she looked naked at first. From like far away I thought she was. Then I like looked like got closer and it was like, oh, this there's actually so I could see something like something outlining her and everything. But it looked I was like, geez, it was almost like skin,
Yeah, like a
kind of
skin outfit, like a
skin
Britney
up.
Spears diamond outfit, basically.
Right, basically. But it was yeah, so I was aware of this. I mean obviously you talked to me right before this about your are you a fan of H.P. Lovecraft?
I am. I got into, I think as somebody who enjoys like cryptid sort of things, like falling into the H.P. Lovecraft like rap and getting and diving really deep for all of this sort of stuff, like it helps like enhance the monsters because this writer has made many different kind of like worldly monsters. So
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
just yeah.
two of them are in this movie, which is
Yes.
interesting. It wasn't just
Yes.
one.
Yeah, it wasn't just the main one.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, the main one. But we'll get to that because
Yeah.
we were talking like right before and I guess you hadn't watched a lot of the H.P. Lovecraft like movies, right? Like movies
No,
based.
not none at all. I
Oh,
did not
really?
know
Well,
there was
you haven't seen Reanimator? I think
no,
that's
no,
H.P.
I have
Lovecraft.
not.
Oh my God, man, there's so much you need to be educated on this because like there's so much that he's done and usually Stuart Gordon directs them, right? Like he's very
Okay.
unfortunately he's no longer with us. But Stuart Gordon directed like Reanimator, From Beyond. He did Dagon, which is basically I was watching this going, this feels like the Dagon story
Hmm.
and it was,
Yeah,
but
well, it is. Yeah.
it's a little bit different. It kind of goes a different path than like I guess every adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft is going to be a bit different. This went with the times of today, cell phones and
Hmm.
all this, modern. They didn't try to make it like older, like
Although
period.
I got like an old-timey sort of feel. Like I want to say like it had like a 90s like ink into it, if that means
I
makes
think they
any sense.
did that on purpose.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna guess, and I don't know this for a fact or not, but I'm gonna guess that Chad Farron, the director, is a fan of the Stuart Gordon, um, H.P. Lovecraft movies and stuff. And Dagon, I mean, he's had to have seen Dagon. Like that's just sort of a famous one from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just watched it for the first time either this year or last year. I think it was last year. And I bought the Blu-ray like right after because it is so good. It's such a good film. But like after when I'm watching this, I was like, oh my God, this feels like the sea stuff, the the island-ish kind of town that they're on, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they're on this like coastal town.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that stuff, which also was part of. It was a little bit different than the movie Dagon. Dagon, these people are on a ship, and then they end up going to this, city, and the city is run by cult people who are trying to bring back Dagon and everything. So
Yeah.
it's similar, except like this idea of this one is that people, this couple, whose I guess is their third anniversary, are going to uh going to go stay at one of like basically at a
An
almost like an
Airbnb.
Airbnb, yeah. Like it's an
Yeah.
Airbnb for they don't say it like that, but like the people they know the people who or the at least the guy
Yeah,
that
that's true.
it's like I'm gonna say it was her boss because she called him
Yeah.
Mr. something or whatever.
Yeah.
So but I did like that exchange because he says this is my better half and he introduces the girl and then she
Mhm.
says this is my lesser half or whatever, which I've never heard anybody ever say.
Call their significant other.
The lesser half, which makes sense because the better half would be the woman. I guess the lesser half would be the male, but like he didn't seem to be bothered by that at all,
Yeah.
thinking that was kind of funny. I'm sure you don't call your significant other, your lesser half. Like that does sound like you're
Never.
kind of being
No.
mean.
I'm trying to think of like cutesy names. Like I have like he has a million for me, but other way around.
Yeah.
I'm like I have three main names. I'm like my Lord and Savior. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet.
I
Um,
should use that.
yeah, there you go. Do not from now on, he's gonna love this.
I dub thee.
Exactly. So yeah, so they go into this like house. Well, I guess we're gonna go right into the story of it because
Okay.
I don't know, it's a pretty cool story, I guess.
Mhm.
Basically they go to this house and they have no idea that they're videotaping everything, that they do.
Everything.
Yeah, like
Everything.
with the little nanny cam thing that they have with the
Mhm.
teddy bear, you know. Now,
Yeah.
if you were to go someplace that you knew it was your boss letting you stay at his I guess coastal house, whatever he has,
Mhm.
for the weekend, or I guess it was supposed to be a weekend or a week or whatever it was. I mean, there's no kind of set
Yeah, it never
schedule.
really does determine that. It seems like everything happens in like a day. It feels like it. Like
Maybe like
because they had the first night, but it was like consumed by the people, and
mm,
so they finally leave, and then that's the end of day one, and then like day two, it's just like boom. And I don't know. Now you have me wondering. Now, did I
I was
not catch the
interesting.
sign?
I was interested. Like I thought there was going to be something more because they kind of talk about how they were trying to get pregnant again, and
Yeah.
they have the sex scene, which also another nude scene, which
Hmm.
fine, but it was like
Yeah.
we just had one like 10 minutes ago. Like all right, so is that would like and they didn't stop on that. So I'm one of those people that I don't put nudity into my films because we got enough nudity in horror films out there, and we've got enough nudity online on like, we've got Pornhub if we need it, and stuff. So I just feel like I feel like if I put any kind of nudity in the movie, it feels gratuitous, period. Like even if I just put like one nude scene in my movie, I would feel like I'm just exploiting that, thing. So I don't like it. But I
Oh,
don't mind it when it's on
mhm.
another person's film because that's their choice,
Yeah.
and everything.
I was about to say I've been in many, many like indie films like that, where it's, but that's like what I'm known for. So
Oh, well, there you go. So it doesn't bother you at all. Yeah, period.
no,
No. Well, there you go.
no,
Um,
I'm very comfortable, very confident.
you know,
I think it sounds kooky. That sounds too kooky. I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable
well, good.
doing that sort of stuff. I
I mean,
understand like there is a time and a place where I believe like certain things it's great and it just enhances the person's experience within the film. But then there's like a lot. And you're just like, are what are we doing? But there, yeah, yeah. So
well,
I agree with you to some extent. That's without a doubt. But
well, it does make sense. Like for like when they're basically having sex and they're sort of they they had a miscarriage before, so now they're thinking about trying again. It would make sense on their
mhm,
anniversary, second honeymoon kind of thing that maybe they would try it there. I just wanted something to come from that. Like I wanted there to be like her to get pregnant, like right, find out that at that time at the place that she's at that she's pregnant. I mean, I guess that's too soon, but like,
mhm.
you never know. Like maybe they've been trying, whatever. I don't know. I just thought
That's true. I never thought of that.
would have thought because maybe she thinks, oh my God, because she did sort of get sick, right?
Yeah,
And I thought, oh God, is she getting morning sickness already?
yeah. I'm like,
like,
it's been a day.
yeah, like already is she like pregnant with the baby? Like, are they controlling this? That would be interesting. That would
Mhm.
be a cool thing. No, no, they didn't go that route.
I
But
assumed that when they did, they got it on like the first night, that probably was like the first time they ever got into any sort of like physical stuff since she had her miscarriage. So
yeah,
that's what I thought that was about. So
I
that's what
think
I
so
was like.
too.
The next day she's throwing up, and I'm like, that I'm like, unless it's like crazy mutant like love and you like got from a ghost or something. I was like, there's no way, there's no way.
Well,
And
I mean, once again, this is like the supernatural monster stuff, right? So
hmm
like her getting pregnant because of like the deep ones wanting her to have a baby, that
yeah,
would have been a thing, but they didn't go that route at all. Like I don't think she didn't get and I guess spoilers ahead, but we're gonna spoil all the whole movie, so
yeah.
get ready. Um, at the end, she's pregnant, right? But it wasn't from that time period, I don't think. I
You don't.
think the monster had been kind of, put into her at that particular rate. That's the thing. Like the monster keeps kind of getting put into whatever victim, they make first it was the first girl. I want to say her name was Ingrid. Is her name
Yeah,
Ingrid?
Ingrid.
Ingrid. She's a poor chick, but like the idea was like she was somebody who kind of got kidnapped, you know,
Yeah.
into this thing and stuff. Um, and then she got kind of forced to do that stuff. Um, but anyway, so yeah, so they had that dinner. Then those two left because it was a very awkward dinner. Like that was weird to me. I was like, I don't even know why they're still there. If this is supposed to be their second. Like generally speaking, you would invite the people to stay at your house and you say, here are the keys, have a great time. But these people hung around for a little bit longer and chatted and she drank wine or whatever. That was the big deal, is like she was drinking wine even though she was pregnant and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and the girl was trying to say that that wasn't a great idea and all this stuff, but it 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 didn't matter because she was hosting Dagon,
And
or
I was about to say, I thought that they were
actually
in
I think she had Cthulhu, didn't she? She had
yeah.
one of them
She had
in her.
she had the creature inside of her. That's what I thought.
She had a creature. I'm not
A
sure which one.
creature.
They did talk about Cthulhu, and you know who
Hmm.
Cthulhu is from H.P.
Yes.
Lovecraft. That's the
Yes.
and then they have Dagon, and I think not sure which. I thought the whole idea was like that she had Cthulhu, and I guess the other girl was supposed to get Dagon or something,
Hmm.
and they were supposed to unleash both of them. And then we do see Dagon later, at the end of at the end.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was weird. And then they left, they had sex, the other
Hmm.
people watched, and then we get the morning, and there's the morning sickness stuff, which I'm just gonna take that up to it was, you know,
Like,
um,
what would you call it? But
well,
then again, I mean, that's the thing with the deep ones. The deep ones make hybrids, and the
right.
hybrids live on the lands near the sea. And I'm like, yeah, this is a very interesting story. I'm just gonna say, and then like, just it just seemed, oh, I don't know. See, now I'm like, oh no, help me.
Well, no, that's fine. So so they go, and she doesn't see her husband. Well, she has a weird ass dream, right?
Yeah, her weird dream is like, your what you have on your background.
Right. Yeah,
So
the weird ass dream with all of them.
yeah,
And
that
then
was.
yeah, and she saw, I guess she saw Dagon for the first time there, and stuff.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, we forgot to mention there was a lady that was like hanging outside their house and stuff
Mhm.
that
Looking for,
for her
um,
daughter,
yeah,
who was missing or whatever. But she looked
missing.
like I mean, she was a homeless lady, or
Mhm.
whatever.
And she warned her to stay away, that they're always listening. And
And
that
yep,
was after there was more people just there hanging out
she
at
she,
their
she said
Airbnb.
this. She said this exactly. Trust no one,
Yeah.
you know. That's why I
Yes.
picked this glass. And I was like,
I
yeah,
like that you
perfect.
picked that as your cup today.
Yep, exactly. Um, but yeah, uh, so yeah, the lady's basically saying trust no one, and that's why I was like, oh, I got a cup that says trust no one. All right, perfect. Um, and so she says, and that's Kelly Maroney, by the way. Kelly
I
Maroney,
thought she looked familiar.
Kelly Maroney is a actress that's been in oh God, lots of stuff, but my favorite is Chopping Mall. Um,
No.
she was in I want to say um Night of the my brain is like, I guarantee if I look up Kelly Maroney, it's gonna be the first thing that pops up there because it's like her most famous movie. Oh, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She was in that as well as Cindy. Night of the Comet, which I just watched for the first time this year too, and loved. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it's a really good
Mm,
movie.
I have
It's,
not yet. It'll be on
it's
my list though.
It'll be on your list. Sorry, I feel like I always give everybody like a billion movies to put on their lists
And
and
you're like,
stuff.
write that down, write that
Yeah,
down.
it's pretty good. And the original Dagon is on Tubi, the one that Stuart
Okay,
Gordon did. And
I will watch that.
the reason I know that for a fact anyway is because after this was done, it recommended Dagon to me, which I thought was kind of funny. Like we're recommending me the same movie, or similar
Yeah.
movie. Um, so then, so she wakes up from her crazy ass nightmare, and her husband is nowhere to be found. And so man, did you see how crazy that house is? Like,
Yeah, like the weird stairs, right?
yeah,
Did you?
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, am I the only one that notices there's like 18 stairs in the same
it
place?
felt like it. She just kept going down and down and down. I'm like, good God. And then she goes into, I guess the kitchen area where her husband is eating food that, Ingrid had cooked. And
Mhm.
oh, before that, she was in her robe, and
She was getting
flashed.
watched by some dude,
Oh, it was
or
like I
not some.
thought it
It was
was I thought
Russell,
it was
right?
him.
Is
It
it
was
Russell?
Russell. Yeah. Well,
Russ-
she said it was Russell. It didn't look like Russell at first. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
Russell, but
I was
she
like,
said it was
man,
him.
Russell, what happened to you like 20 minutes later?
Yeah. So he shows right back up, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
He shows up in the house. And then so you know, she says she talks to them or whatever, and they invite them both on a boat, ride or whatever, and whatnot for that night. And so the girl doesn't want to do anything about eating because once again she's sick, and
Mhm.
she's not feeling good. So they want to go on the boat and they want to bring Petrie, who is her husband, and the girl's name is Alex. Which if you watch the cut subtitles, it's hilarious because it says like girl or wife the whole time. Just calls her the wife until it finds out what her name is. Then it calls, calls her
Oh,
Alex. I thought that was funny.
oh,
Or
I didn't know that. I never know. Like, and I watch with subtitles all the time. Like everything with subtitles. I didn't even notice that at all.
yeah, so sometimes like if she speaks and you don't see her, it'll say like girl and it'll say who, yeah, like who said it. And so or whatever. So I thought that was funny. Um and then so so he comes back up and talks to the his wife, Alex, and he says, "Hey, I want me, do you want to go on this boat ride?" And she's like, "I'm not feeling so good, so maybe you should go." And he's being the good guy and trying to say he can stay and take care of her. It's their fucking honeymoon, like second honeymoon or
Yeah,
whatever. Like, stay
I
in
saw
and
that.
take care of her. Don't listen to what, her saying, "Oh, I
Mhm.
can take care of myself." Still freaking, that was his big mistake, obviously, because then later we find out why. Um,
Mhm.
but they invite him on the boat. He goes on the boat. The story wouldn't happen if he had stayed, right? Or at least it would have been a different.
Basically, right?
Yeah, they would have had to figure out another way to get him away from. And
Mhm.
so once again, Dagon is um, was it a sea creature thing? So it makes sense that they would go on the boat and have him get hypnotized and have all the
Mhm.
weird
Yeah.
crap happen.
I was gonna say some interesting stuff.
How would you describe what happens to him on the boat?
I don't know how to describe it. I do. It's more like he was praying on his knees to this sea god. So wink wink nudge nudge basically.
You're right. And then she has Cthulhu or whatever in her belly. And like
Mm,
this thing comes up into his mouth while he's doing
thank
that
you.
stuff. Yeah, and like tentacles come into his mouth and
Yeah.
like he's being possessed, I guess, by them, by the spirit of Cthulhu and whatnot. And my favorite Cthulhu thing I've ever seen is so my friend John Johnson does this thing called the Lovecraft Chronicles.
Mhm.
It's the idea of like the descendants of all the Gothic writers are now like supernatural, hunters, and stuff. And but they hunt their own, things. So like there's a Poe, there's a Lovecraft, there's a, whatever. And one of Cthulhu comes into my friend Matthew Ewald. I don't know if you know him or not, but Matthew is so funny as Cthulhu because he's just this creature, right? It's like it kind of reminded me, and I guarantee you, John wouldn't be surprised if I said this, but it reminded me of Ghostbusters when what's his name was possessed by Zool. I guess what's his name? You've seen Ghostbusters, the original
I'm not
Ghostbusters.
good with names though, sir.
Rick Moranis got like
Oh,
possessed by him, Lewis,
yeah, yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like running around and he's like the minions will be blah 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 blah, right? And he's acting all crazy and stuff. But that was
Yeah.
him, but even crazier. Like he doesn't talk, he kind of just right, saying like crazy like words. And I thought it was hilarious. It was like Cthulhu really was inside him, and and stuff. And I thought he did. I mean, Matthew is an amazing actor. Um, so yeah, so they have that, and I thought that was really funny. And then so then what is it? The yeah, it gets wacky after that. Like after he gets sort of possessed by
Mhm.
the gods of Cthulhu and all that stuff or whatever that's
Mhm.
happening to him. And
Yeah.
they go back on, he comes back home and he's not the same guy basically. He's kind of messed up. Um, and they invite him to like there's like a dinner thing. Oh, and before then on the land, she meets this man person.
Like like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, like I loved because it was the name was like Jean, right? Like, which is more of a male name, whereas
Very
G.
androgynous.
Yeah, it's very androgynous. But they kept calling him a woman. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing trans, but no, there's no talk
I
about it. It's just like accept.
Yeah, it's more so you just accept that that's who they are.
Right. And
Yeah.
she doesn't even say anything really about that. Like that was never,
Uh-huh.
and I thought that was really cute. I don't know if that had something to do with like like I don't know if they had somebody to play that role and then or whatever, or if they
It
just
became somebody else because last minute things, you know how the like film, it's you
yeah.
gotta
I mean,
roll with the punches when something doesn't happen and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that is a wonder. I now I want to know whether or not that was either the original plan and that's who was always supposed to play
yeah,
um
it was Timothy
this.
Muscatel, which
Yeah,
he's worked
portraying
with.
an old woman
Yeah. Um,
doctor
the
that
doctor that
magically the owners of the home are just like, we always send doctors over to everyone, and
uh
like and
there's
it's
some
like,
really
I'd be a
creepy
little
shit
weary
going.
if somebody,
Yeah.
my Airbnb was like, oh, we're just making sure that you're healthy. I'm like, healthy for what?
Yeah.
Healthy
Well,
for
I
what?
mean, I guess that is nice, to take care of
Uh-huh.
you while you're,
Yeah.
if you're feeling sick or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
that isn't really that shouldn't be there. Well, I mean, that is, I guess, her boss. Like that's what I got from it. Now, it might not have been. He might have just said, "Oh, we saw your name and your name, now I'm calling you Mister." But always thought it was boss, like, somebody that actually one of them actually knew, but maybe no, maybe they didn't know either of them. No, none of them. So anyway, he goes off and or that she like fixes her up or whatever, kind of helps her out and stuff. And then my favorite part of that is she leaves to go get like I guess a thing of pills, you know. And as she does that,
Yeah.
the other girl's like the lady is just staring at her, and it's all weird. It gets all kind of creepy, and like she takes off her glasses and then she puts them back on before the girl comes there. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what in the world is going on here? I don't
Yeah,
have
I
a
like
clue.
the drinking the is it coffee or whatever, and they're like I thought that was like a funny little like it's like,
Yeah,
what, these people are quite unusual. I wonder why.
I mean the whole place is like, I mean, I hate to say, I wouldn't want to stay more than a day there. Like I would be like, I don't feel comfortable in
Worst
here.
second honeymoon ever.
I know. Somebody should have said that, worst second honeymoon ever.
Worst second
I
honeymoon
think if it were
ever.
made today, somebody would have put that in there. Uh, so they
Well, it
go.
was only it was what it was either came out in 2020 or like very recently, right?
It came out in
2021.
2020, but I don't know if it was shot in. It might have been shot in like 2019, put
Mhm.
out in 2020. Because I'm gonna guess that that this movie came out before COVID hit or after,
I'm
but they'd
thinking.
already shot it, before COVID. I
Mhm.
don't know. Because it didn't feel like they were, like
Post
they were.
apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean and yeah, and it never mentions anything like it doesn't. I feel like they it would have been a different movie had it been actually shot during COVID,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
but nope, it was definitely I think it was done before then. Um and then she also meets the crazy lady, the homeless lady, and
yeah, with the missing daughter.
who says basically don't trust no one, and that
Mhm.
included the cop, which I was really bummed about because I thought there was going to be more with him.
Hmm.
Like there really wasn't anything else. Like he introduced himself, and then was he a part of that group? I don't remember seeing him in the group of people. Maybe he was, but I don't remember.
I thought like everyone that was like seaside in the area were.
That would probably be right because that's how you control everything. If you even
Yeah.
control the police, who says there's no crime, and yet
Hmm.
he says there's no crime, and yet her daughter's missing.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you think that would be a crime potentially? Like, you know?
There's no crime here, none that we worry about. Haha.
No, yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like, poor people who live there in that community, they
mhm.
all have to be part of this God thing, um, cult. So he comes back and she had gotten invited to a party hosted by that doctor, or whatever. And so she asked if she could take a friend, which I was like, wait, a friend? Who? What?
Yeah,
I
where's
don't,
she getting this from?
oh,
Like,
right.
'cause I was like, her husband's not gonna be back in time. Jeez.
I know, like, what's going on? And then it
Second
turned,
honeymoon, right? Second
right.
honeymoon, but your
And then,
friend's in your back pocket somehow.
yeah, well, it turns out the friend is like her, I guess her best friend who was like having somebody babysit her kid while she hung out with her or whatever. But I'm like, wait, she doesn't live in that community. Like, how does she get there? Like,
Exactly. I was very weirded out by all that.
yeah, I was a little confused. Because like she obviously wasn't part of that town,
Hmm.
because she started stumbling onto the stuff that was happening. So she called up her friend and invited her out, and then her friend was driving, so like she had to be close by, and stuff. So what next town over? I don't know. None of that's ever really explained, which I guess it doesn't need to be. But in the same sense, I feel like something should have, like, I feel like it was a little confusing. Um, so then, the husband comes home and they decide to go to, the party and stuff. And,
Hmm.
oh, when the husband comes home, he sees the friend and her hanging out and everything. And there's just like a little weird thing there where the guy's kind of um hitting on the friend for a second. They're kind of
Uh-huh.
flirting together. And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, stop it, break up, you two," and everything. And I'm like, this is like really weird. Like, what is going on? Um,
Yeah.
and then he goes upstairs, I guess, or something, or goes out, and they're two talking, and it turns out that apparently, like she was like, oh, I bet he like had sex with the pregnant lady, on the boat, right? Like there's that like talk about that because he
Yeah.
was into pregnant ladies when she was pregnant before the miscarriage.
Yeah. That was like I sat through that sort of awkwardness. I don't I don't know.
Yeah,
They I have thoughts in my brain and I'm
yeah,
trying to portray them out and it's not working.
it's
But I
okay.
thought that was really that you're right. That is an oddball conversation. But
I mean, that girl was, I guess, her best friend, who's gonna like
hmm.
listen to her or whatever. So she goes off and or they both go off, they get dressed. The people are still watching them do whatever,
Hmm.
and stuff, and they're getting ready for the party. And then they go and he hangs out with the guys, right? And stuff. And they're all like sitting back, whatever, and the guys are watching that fire woman do amazing
Hmm.
fire show. Like I don't know where they found her, but she was really good, you
I
know.
agree. Yeah.
And
But
then
yeah,
what?
go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, no. It's just silly little tidbits. I'm like, oh, like fire dancing's very like alluring. I'm a
It
weirdo.
is. It's very alluring. And she did a good job, like, getting everybody like hyped up for it or whatever. but like, it was like in the fire, and like there was something with the fire because they hypnotized them with the fire too, like look in the light and stuff. They kept saying that, look into the light, and everything. And then the woman, oh God, the weirdest scene, I think, one of the weirdest scenes. There's a lot of weird scenes in this movie.
I was
But
about to say there's quite a few interesting scenes.
but when they're like sitting there and that like girl walks up and starts speaking like a foreign language to them, and they're like, "What did she say?" And
Mhm.
then the other lady goes, "Oh, excuse my daughter, blah blah blah. She really likes you. She thinks you have beautiful hair, something like that, right?" And she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, thank you." It's like, "And my husband would like you too."
Yeah.
I was like, "Ugh." What? And she even like was like, "Whoa, I don't like this," kind of, thing. Um, they go off and or they say they want to leave, right? Because I guess they don't feel comfortable there. And they
Mhm.
ask if they could just like leave. And the guy, the main guy, the villain guy or whatever,
Was it Russell?
Russell, you're right. Um, he tells them basically, "Oh, just go that way. We're gonna keep your husband here. He's having a good time, you know, being hypnotized, you know."
Yeah.
Like, why, right? Like, she felt very awkward and strange about everything. But they were like, "Sure, I'm gonna go home." So they leave to go home. They finally get to the house, and there's a freaking little girl like just sitting there, like, like everything that's in this movie would just scream, "This is a horror film. Get out!" Like, don't get
Yeah.
out,
And
leave.
they're just
Like,
like, I wonder, like like that had to be the slowest slow burn of like people like clearly there's danger and there's unusual stuff and instead of leaving they really held off. They're just like, no, I still gotta give this one more chance. Gotta give it one
yeah,
more
I'm gonna
chance.
keep the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt that
Yeah.
this
Oh,
place
you
is.
just randomly got a doctor for me and they just randomly want my pee. Why? I
Yeah.
literally saw a doctor before I came here. Like, oh, like, oh, the husband we get invited on a boat, but I can't go.
Well,
Like,
no, she could go. She was invited
yeah,
to.
she was like, I'm just gonna be miserable and sleeping through this all day, blah. You just go. But it's like they knew that because it was all a ploy. It was all a ploy to get her and get him like separated, do their thingies to them, and
Hmm. Do their
so
separate thingies to them, and
that's
everything.
how I felt. I was like, he
Yeah,
got hypnotized. She got like weirded out. She's
but
learning a little bit of truth. She's getting like the doctor things done to, they asked like her history of everything. Like, oh, you're very, very healthy. Check mark, check mark. And
right.
it's like
Yeah, you're very healthy. You know,
very healthy,
um,
huh?
uh, so
I've never
so
heard of
healthy for your
like
baby.
results either taking only a couple hours when it
Didn't
comes to
she?
that. So I'm like,
Didn't that
no,
doctor ask her about a baby thing situation kind of thing?
yeah.
Because it got really
Oh
weird
yeah,
about.
because when she was 41, she also had her babies. She's like, so you have hope because she was like, well, we had a miscarriage and we're trying to like see about doing this again and
That's a lot of
because
information to
what's her
be
name was
giving a random
41
per.
and she's like, I'm 41 and then it's like that's the perfect age to have kids. You're good. You're good. You're gonna have a nice healthy baby, no problem.
I mean,
So it's
I heard like one of my friends said that their mother was 48 when they had them. So I mean, it, it can happen, so whatever. I mean, 41's not.
my grandma was 42 when my uncle was born.
Well, there you go. See?
Mhm.
So I mean, 41 isn't the wrong age or anything. Um, you
It's
know,
just a little harder.
yeah,
It's a little harder on women's bodies and usually by the time it's like the last couple like thousand eggs you have in general and your body's just trying to get rid of them. So
there you go.
yeah,
Hey, we learned something today. You know,
fertility is a fickle thing, surprisingly.
I wouldn't know because uh, A, I'm not a woman, so I don't know anything about eggs.
No,
And
yeah.
and
I
B,
honestly I don't know anything about when it comes to the male counterparts of living. I
Mhm.
don't understand how their life works or like how they're yeah, I had to learn about mine. I don't need to learn about theirs. Good.
There you go. I think if more people were like that and weren't nosy, like, hey, I want to learn about what you're going through, and
Mhm.
all that shit, because that's just like after a while, I'm like, some things are better left untouched
Yeah.
and under,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I like
I'm okay.
untouched. Untouched
Yeah,
sounds
sounds better, right? All right.
yeah.
They see the little kid that's there, and the little kid is
Mhm.
just staring or whatever,
Yeah,
and then
with the
they
mask.
with the mask, and they
Like
start
that
talking
weird
to
mask.
her, and at one point, she starts like I don't know, she starts acting really weird. But do you
Hmm.
think that was the the mother who was the homeless mother? Do you think that was her
I
kid?
thought that that was a possibility, or that was just one of the. It was the child of the mother. That's what I figured. Of the missing. So the missing child maybe has grown since and has child like mothered that child,
Right.
and it's one or the other. It's either her or it's her
Uh,
child.
I had no idea,
That's
but
how I figured.
got really weird. And the homeless woman, I'm trying to remember what happened to her. Didn't she get killed or something, or get like kidnapped or something? Something happened to her because she
I thought
went what?
you go ahead.
I was gonna say I thought she went into like a hole or something, like
A hole.
some place like down where she was living or something, and some stuff happened. I don't know. It it was very confusing around that time. I was like, wait, what's going on here? I don't know, you know.
Like I felt like this was just some crazy dream for the most part when it kind of came to this. I was like, but then again, like if this is like from the works of H.P. Lovecraft, of course it's going to be awkward. It's
Dreamlike.
gonna be awkward. It's gonna be weird because just yeah, like when you read these books, it seems like it has more fantasy than
Yeah.
sense.
Oh,
But
it's
this was
definitely
more like
fantasy.
yeah, this wasn't like fantasy. It was more like sci-fi sort of stuff.
It was more of
So
horror, you know. I mean, it had a
yeah,
lot more horror to it than
not a
like
lot of not a lot of gore. Although
no, it
it
wasn't
was
made
just
like that.
weird. It
Yeah.
was like monster
So Stuart
ishness.
Gordon also made a movie called From Beyond, which was sort of like he used a couple of the people from Reanimator and used this movie, and I mean, it's beautiful. It's like colorful, very colorful. And there's some like weird creature things like with like necks and heads and things like it's just weird fucking shit in the movie. This didn't have that necessarily. This was more, I mean, it did have the creatures. You did see the creatures, saw tentacles, you saw that stuff, but I don't know. It wasn't like bright and colorful, and they didn't do the same, didn't do the same thing, which I'm glad. I wouldn't want them to, you know, So, anywho, so they talked to the girl. At one point, I guess she tried to touch. I don't know why she tried to touch the girl, but the girl's like, "Don't touch me," right?
Yeah.
And then says some weird, creepy things and leaves, And I was just like, "What in the world is like? These are red flags, people." Like, run. Like, you see a creepy girl, that is a horror film. That is, honest, maybe I've watched too many of them, because if I was walking up to my house and this creepy girl that I did not know, was standing on my porch and was saying stuff, I'd be like, please leave. I'm running over this way. Like, I'm getting away from you. I don't know what's happening, but I don't like it. You
Mhm.
know, they
Yeah.
did none of that. So, um, so we move into the house and they discover stuff. They
Mhm.
discover that that these people, I guess, worship H.P. Lovecraft, which I
Mhm.
thought was interesting take on that, right? Like you don't really
Yeah.
see in an H.P. Lovecraft movie that they are talking about H.P. Lovecraft himself.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I thought that was like at least something a little better. I guess I expected quite a bit out of this film when it came to everything, and it was it was interesting because I really enjoyed the stories, the
Mm,
Cthulhu story, um, literally learning about like hybrid, like this whole entire story, the name of the movie about these deep one creature people
mm-hmm,
who have this whole lore behind them,
mm-hmm.
and uh
So you
to
did
for
research on that when you were
well,
when
I
you
knew about that even before. I knew
okay,
about that. I did not know that there was movies. I will
okay.
tell you that I did not know that there was movies. So watching this one, I was just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like if you like this sort of stuff, it's bound to be like really really cool. And they probably I guess maybe I was expecting more of like a Game of Thrones ish sort of thing, like like sci-fi fantasy kind of deal, and learning
Yeah.
about an entire culture of people that exist and why they exist and what they do, and then it so I guess like it paying homage to like the HP Lovecraft uh thingy with the white hoods and all. So I'm just like, alrighty, I can get on board with that. So
Well, I mean, it
I
is an
I don't
indie film.
I'm all jambly. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean it's an indie film. So like what you
Yeah.
were describing right there would be awesome if like I know there's a TV show on HBO called Lovecraft Country. So if they explored that stuff, that would be,
How
you
do
know,
I not know any of this? I
I
really
don't
did not know that there was movies or like I know that there was like certain movies that would have like full small aspects of it, but not like
no, like
full on let's make it like this book a reality in
right.
movie. I never knew that. I
Well,
never
there
knew
you
that.
go. Now
Now
you
I have
can
lots of movies to watch.
I know,
This
seriously.
this yeah, and I'm like of all time like spooky season, come on.
I know
It's
this is kind of the perfect
added
time.
fuel now.
Hopefully
Gonna be a
more
busy bee.
people watch this review and be like, you know what? I didn't even think about, all of this stuff. And then they go and watch all the H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Now, granted, H.P. Lovecraft himself wasn't a great person.
Mhm.
I should have probably said that in the beginning. He's done and said some things like he's not a good person.
Mhm.
His movies, however, none of them give it to like they don't go to his estate, and none of them profit goes to him at all. And people just love his lore. Like they love what he created. He
Yeah.
may be a terrible
I
person,
yeah.
but
Doesn't mean that Cthulhu is. I love
well, Cthulhu is a terrible person. Actually, you know what? When I was younger, like 23, I lived in this basically I lived in a garage. And the guy that lived in the attic, that sounds like a movie in a title in itself, the guy who lived in the attic. Um, he was a animator. So I'm a filmmaker. One of the other guys in the crew is a filmmaker. Later, and other actors and filmmakers kind of come into this house. But he is a animator. So he gave me one of his like collection of shorts that he did. One of them was called Cute Thulu, right? And it was these little girls as anime, right? And it was these girls who had like a was it a Cthulhu plush, right? And they bought the Cthulhu plush at a like yard sale or something like that, whatever it was. And then the girls take it and like they're little girls, so they start playing a tea party with Cthulhu, right? Like Mr. Cthulhu, would you like some tea? And stuff like that. And like, oh, isn't Mr. Cthulhu so cute? All this stuff. And then the ending of the thing is H.P. Lovecraft. They go into the the graveyard where he's at, and you can see him just banging his head, on the grave, like everything because he's like all of a sudden my stuff is now being used as something like that. I thought that was just the cutest thing. So
Yeah,
every time I hear of Cthulhu, I think of Cute Cthulhu, which I thought was
cute
hilarious.
Lulu.
Cute Cthulhu. I want a Cthulhu plush. I don't know if that actually exists or not, but I want one.
I'm
You
sure
know,
they do because I went to a horror con 2 weekends ago and they had a Mothman plush and a Chupacabra plush. And I like that's like nicknames for me and my boyfriend. So I'm like
nice.
I'm like
Wait,
we can
wait,
be
Who
each
is
other's
Chupa?
little
Which one's
stuffies.
which
What's
one's
that?
Chupacabra?
Me.
Oh,
Because I'm
okay.
Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Okay, that works. That's funny. Uh, so he calls you. See, he gives you cute nicknames or whatever. And what is he? What
He's
did
my
you?
Mothy man.
Oh, Mothman. Okay.
Yeah.
The
That or he's a Blatty Daddy, whichever we feel at during the
what is
day.
that? Gladdy
What?
Daddy? What
Blatty Daddy.
what does that mean?
So he was Dracula in a
Oh,
movie.
Vladdy Daddy.
Batman and
Okay.
Robin. Yeah, so yeah, no, I wear a bracelet that says it too.
Oh, that's cute. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, to continue, I guess.
I'm sorry.
They no, I mean it's great. That's a funny. So they go into the house. They find out all this stuff about uh, they start reading the Lovecraft stuff. They read this. I guess she could translate whatever language it was. It was like German, I guess, or something, right?
Yeah, it was an because didn't
It
her
was
boyfriend like have an accent? I felt like he had an accent, right?
well, no, but like they were reading
Or her husband,
the
I should say.
letters, but
Husband.
but they were reading the letters from Ingrid, right? That
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ingrid,
yeah, yeah.
and so they translated those letters, and it said like, she was like scared, she was all this stuff. Like it was, what if you had come across that, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm terrified for her. What's
Uh-huh.
going on here? So then they go and basically what is it? Uh they have to deal with figuring out what's going on, and she gets a call from her nanny, I guess, or babysitter or whatever, saying that she needs to go back home. And once again, I'm like, how far are you? What is going on here? Like, why were
Yeah.
you like a drive away? Why did you leave your kids to go to party? You're going home drunk? That's weird. I mean, I guess. I
You're
mean,
like,
maybe
this
not
math
drunk,
ain't
but
mathin'. The horror math ain't mathin'.
yeah. So she leaves. She says, I'm sorry for making, leaving you here, but she's like, I'll be okay. Because she still does not think anything is like wrong. I mean, people are warning her, like stay away, trust no one. There's a little girl who's being very creepy. There's weird
Yeah.
people saying that they want their husband to meet you. Like it is
Mhm.
this this are red flags here to like protect yourself and get ready. Bad things are happening, you know? Um,
Yeah.
but she's like, oh no, go ahead. I'll be fine here waiting for my husband to get home. I'm like, I
Yeah.
guess, all right. Like we're still gonna go with that, I guess,
Yeah.
Um, and then she goes to the house and she accidentally knocks down the teddy bear, you know,
Yeah.
and finds out she's been being watched. And
Hmm.
so I guess she thinks they're recording them all over. How does she know like they're all over the place? Like I would have just thought that one room. She didn't know like other stuff, right? Like they're watching us all the time, I'm
Hmm.
like,
I always assume if there's one, there's got to be more. That's how my lady brain thinks. I'm like, I
hmm,
found one. There's definitely at least 10 more in this house.
yeah. So yeah, so she goes, she knows she's waiting for the husband. Meanwhile, uh and the cool like I guess scene is the little girl from earlier is in the middle of the road, and the other girl is driving home to be with her kid or whatever, go get her kid. And she has to stop in the middle of the road to like kind of tell the girl to move around, move away, and then Russell knocks her out, knocks her down, and she's looking up or whatever. She's very dazed and confused as to what's going on. And she's like, "Oh, you've been in a bad accident or whatever, kind of thing, right?" And then he runs her over. Thought that was really fucked up. And kind of cool because you can kind of hear her like still screaming while she's being run over, like and stuff. I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
messed up.
Very gruesome. Yeah, a little on
Yeah,
the ooh side.
yeah, on the roof. So then they draw whatever, like it- up until she's dead, I guess, because then after a while you don't hear her, like, kind of making any noise and
Mhm,
stuff. The husband comes home, he's all weird and acting,
mhm,
kind of hypnotized or whatever. She's trying to kind of get him to understand what's going on. And then I think he does snap out of it, doesn't he? Like for a little bit, because he goes to help her. Uh, oh no, he's not out of it. They go and get kind of kidnapped to the whole Cthulhu thing or whatever, the ritual and stuff. And then she kills Russell, doesn't she? Like she stabs him, right?
mhm.
And
Yeah.
he dies. But he also says thank you. Why did
Because
you think he said thank you? I have my
because
my
it's an
thoughts, but
honor.
what?
It's an honor. Well, I thought like, and this is just coming from the book aspect of life. Um, isn't it because like they're technically immortal until, well, no, until they do get slain, I guess. Yeah, never mind. I'm thinking too much book.
Well, I
Thinking
think
too much.
that at that time when he got hit, Russell, the real Russell, said thank you.
Oh,
That's what I got from it. Like he was telling
oh.
him, "Thank you for now killing me, so I'm not part of this possession of this thing, and
Hmm.
stuff." But that pissed off Cthulhu, like in the
Hmm.
body of the pregnancy or whatever. And like she tried to like kill the thing inside the body of the like I was like, damn, like
Yeah.
but they killed the and then the was it Cthulhu grabs because the guy wakes up from his like little like trance and stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought I think his name's Finn, isn't it Finn?
it was Finn and it was also Petrie. Petrie.
Petra.
So
Okay, I was like, it was two names.
hey,
I heard two names, right?
yeah, I heard two names too, and I was like, wait, was Finn just a nickname? But like,
Yeah, I'm like, is there something that we don't know? Like, is that his real name? And
I
then
don't
like,
know. I think it got very confusing because they did say two different names. Um,
mhm.
for him. Um, and it wasn't like a cute little nickname like Chupacabra. It was
Yeah.
like, it was like it was a Finn, which could have been because of sea stuff. I don't know, but you don't know anything. You have no idea. Whatever. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
last name. I don't know. But
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
yeah, but even then,
Now
I
I
don't
want to
think
do
she.
more research. Now I want to watch this all over again and like go through
Feel
everything
free,
all
feel
over
free.
again.
I'm sure Chad would love that because people and you as a working actress know this, but like, and I think you have movies on Tubi, that are available
Hmm.
for people to watch. So when people go to your movies, they're giving money to the creators in a way. Like it doesn't go
Hmm.
necessarily goes to distributors who eventually, hopefully, will pay the creators, or whatever. So anyway, he goes up and what is it? He tries to escape, and the Cthulhu, hand
Grab them.
grabs him,
Yeah.
and pulls him under, and she just takes off, which I thought was
Hmm.
that was the first horror movie good moment I've seen in a movie. Because generally speaking, I would have thought she would have stayed there. I'm like, no, 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 I need you, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna stay here and die too, No, she's like, I'm hightailing it, I'm booking it, I'm gonna um, and then she gets kidnapped again or whatever and has to do
Hmm.
all this stuff. And then eventually, like Dagon comes, all that stuff. You see Dagon, you see
Yeah.
Cthulhu. And then eventually she gets everything kind of implanted in her.
Hmm.
And then it cuts to later where it's, I don't know how long, but I guess enough, like maybe 9 months or whatever, where she's pregnant again. I mean, she's pregnant this time. Um, and I wonder if they do this for people who have had miscarriages. Like, I wonder if Ingrid had a miscarriage and they did this for people so that they can give them a baby. And but the baby happens to be like a demon from hell, monster from hell, But like
That's something to think about. That's something to consider
I don't
because
know if because we never heard that from I don't think Ingrid ever said she had a miscarriage, which I
yeah,
think if she had, she would have said something. Uh,
yeah, because and then she was always like, because even in the beginning she was like, oh, a little wine's not terrible for it, blah blah blah.
well,
Like
it's
where
not
she was like,
terrible for fucking Cthulhu.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's like
yeah,
maybe it's not actually like a baby. Maybe it's the tentacles.
yeah. So, uh, there's a new couple who come to the house, and you kind of see the
uh,
door of the house. I never noticed the door of the house looks like a
uh,
uh like I
like a
thought
seed thing.
like a map, or something like I thought like a
Yeah,
nautical like map thing.
yeah.
And so I thought that was really cool. And so they this couple come in and they have basically the same exchange kind of you see from before. And then she's like kind of staring out like she's pregnant now. She's staring out and then she closes the door. And now Pietre is the new Russell. She's the new Ingrid. And
Mhm.
wait, no, it's the exact opposite. Because doesn't she say this is my lesser half? Like she introduces her, right? So she's
Yeah,
the new
because it's like a
Russell.
cycle of getting through new things over again.
Yeah,
And
like life
it's
starting
like a cycle of whatever these sea gods and this cult are trying to like keep up with.
the
You kind of
circle of sea god's life.
woo, I love it.
Yeah, it just keeps going or whatever. I don't know. Who knows how many people this whole thing has infected before, or whatever. And is it going to keep happening? The
Uh-huh.
idea, I guess, is that like as long as they implant all the stuff into the girl,
Hmm.
and start this whole thing going, that it will continue, and eventually
Yeah.
Dagon will rise again, and I don't know. Um, I, I honestly, after watching, I mean, it is one of those movies I feel like deserves more than one viewing. Um, because
Probably catch on to the like a couple things that you may have missed along the way.
yeah, you and
Um,
I may not mention things that might have been important
yeah, and I
to
was
the
like, wait a
plot.
second, what? And then there was like a couple things that I felt like I did catch on to, but I'm like, uh, because of course I wrote, I wrote some things down,
Oh, tell me what you wrote that you don't think we discussed
No.
yet. Why not?
Well, like I said, it was just writing things down, and then just remembering like the story itself. And I guess, I mean, it didn't specifically say like, oh, a couple of people, like that's what they do though. I feel like the Airbnb part is like a little bit of a spin-off of like, modernizing an ancient probably like uh ritual that
Hmm.
the people who are technically like hybrids or they're servants to these gods. And yeah, that's where like the culty thing comes in kind of deal
Hmm.
because they're doing either like a human sacrifice or um they're interbreeding with humans. And
Yeah.
these inbred creatures are they have eternal life. They have immortality unless there's a certain way that you wait, what is it? Let me Yeah, they are immortal, but as are the sea gods and everything. So, and they all live in like oceanside areas to yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
I
you got into
you
it.
know
You
like
got into it. That's great. I mean,
yeah.
you're already. I didn't know when I picked this for you. I just was going through Tubi as I normally do,
Ah,
and I was just like going, okay, what looks like something that would be fun to watch?
Mhm.
And then I saw the Deep Ones, and I also saw that it was directed by Chad.
Mhm.
Chad had done what was the movies that there was a couple movies I'd seen of his that I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Let's see. Um, he had done uh, he didn't do. So he did, I think, a movie called Unspeakable. I think was his big one. He had done Easter Bunny Kill Kill. That's a great one, especially to
Okay.
watch during Easter. It's definitely
Mhm.
a good Easter horror film. It's on Tubi as well. Um, The Ghouls. Oh my God, The Ghouls is great. That's really creepy. Um, Unspeakable is creepy too. I think that's Trauma. Yeah, that's Trauma. Trauma released
Oh,
that.
nice.
Um, and then yeah, he worked for Troma for a little bit. Chad Barron did. It's how I discovered him was I think he was in I want to say he was either in the book Make Your Own Damn Movie or he was in the like there's a video stuff like a box set video that had interviews and stuff and I think he was in one of those things. So that or like the Direct Your Own Damn Movie something one of those but he was really cool and I just he is really cool like and I've loved everything I've seen of his has been good you know
Mhm.
and they've been different not you can't say every single one of his movies is the same movie or whatever like you can some filmmakers you know
Yeah.
um so but yeah every single one of his movies is really fun and good and I like this one a lot I mean I'm a big I'm a big Lovecraft fan, so
Mhm.
I'll take any chance to watch the stuff, but a lot of people do like the Dunwich Horror. They do like the Witch House kind of stuff, Dreams of the Witch House, stuff like that. I'd love to see like Sea Gods, because I'm a big fan of movies on the sea, you know.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I love Dagon and I love this movie. And I think more
Yeah.
people should check it out if you get a chance to.
Yeah.
I mean, were you
Even
happy
as
with it?
like personally, like I like horror movies like this, and actually, like it felt like I was watching like an older horror movie, but it was only made a couple years ago, and so
Yeah.
I was like, it gave that good like 90s horror film, kind of cheesy. Not gonna lie, there's some things that I'm like, that's a little, but
I like
for
cheesy.
it
I kind of write cheesy. So, I'm
I do. I like cheesy too. Don't get me wrong. Like that's how I grew up. That's how I found my love of horror. Like anything, I watched like Tales from the Dark Side. I watched it, the older things,
mm,
Twilight Zone, even in the black and white version. Like it's So I got like the campiest like campy vibes, the without the camp part, and then the culty sort of stuff without the culty stuff, the monster sort of stuff with the monster stuff like that. I
with
thought
the
the
monster.
effects were actually not too bad when it came to the monster stuff. I thought that was not terrible.
And I
Um,
was afraid of that because like sometimes the monsters they don't keep the look on the monsters real like long because the monsters
mhm.
look like puppets or something, or whatever.
Uh-huh. But I
And
I got a creep feel, a creep vibe of these monsters, and well, they're sea gods, so
sea gods,
there's
yeah, but they're monsters. I mean,
mhm,
they're sea monsters. And um so like I said, like the movie Dagon, they're on a ship, and I think basically the ship has some problems, and it kind of ends up making them go toward this island and stuff and whatnot, in this area where everybody worships Dagon, or
mhm.
whatever. And so it's the same storyline. So it's probably from, I bet that is the storyline in a Dagon thing, or whatever.
Okay.
They just didn't have the budget like Dagon had. Dagon had a much bigger budget, I think. But
Okay.
what they lacked in a budget, I feel like they made up for with story and
Yeah.
interesting characters. Like, I was interested. I cared for I actually cared for Pietro. I was like, man, I'm sorry you're stuck being like, kind of, you shouldn't have gone on the freaking boat. Stay with your freaking wife.
Yeah.
Like doesn't it say through sickness and health, you know? and all that stuff, right? You're not
Yeah.
supposed to go, oh, you're sick. Oh, I'm gonna go leave you and go on this boat over
Later.
here. Have a good time throwing up and sleeping, but you know,
Mhm.
I'm gonna leave you alone in that weird house where they have a million stairs.
Yeah.
Um, you know, such a weird whole thing, but I liked it. All in all, I had
Yeah.
a good time. Um,
Yeah.
it's funny because there are some times on the 31 Days of Indie Horror, I'm like, this isn't that good. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, you
No,
know.
I actually like for given like what first of all, I really liked the idea of the story
Hmm.
and I mean the acting was pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. You know, um I just I like seeing, I guess, adaptations of these these stories that I used to read, you
Hmm.
know? So I'm
Yeah,
like, I really like that. The one thing I do remember quoting, I was like, ha, seaside community, ha ha. So, sorry, that's the one thing that I was like, I laughed at that one, that even though it was like near the beginning. Yeah.
yeah. There's a
Yeah. I
couple
was like,
things in the
ha
beginning,
ha
like
ha.
there was cute little moments in it, I felt like. Uh,
Yeah.
it and it wasn't like this bleak story, or whatever,
Mhm.
where you're just like dark, disturbing, you know, kind of sad story or anything. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and I think what saved that is just their kind of sort of like I want to say stupidity, but I would say naivete, I guess, like of like
Mhm.
thinking or like their positiveness of like, oh, we'll just keep staying here, even though all this wacky shit's happening. So
Yeah. I think like maybe because they really like honed in on it being after a miscarriage, so they're trying to like get their spark back. So they're trying to make the most of the situation given to them. And it's possible like it was all part of the plan technically, I guess, so to speak. But like I don't know, like even with some like nativity as you nativity, I to be naive, there we go. Um
it
there there has to be that because they're like we're already at rock bottom at the moment. We haven't done anything as our relationship hasn't completely crumpled yet. Let's try and rekindle this flame kind of deal, especially
mm,
after something as drastic as a miscarriage. So everything like tying in together, I think they're like it can't get worse, it can't get worse, it can't get worse, and
it
it's
gets
like
worse.
it's not technically getting worse, it's just not the best. What's gonna
Well, I
happen
mean, it
next?
it gets worse.
This happened. Oh darn.
It
Like
does get worse. I mean, they
yeah, it
are
can
like
get yeah.
kidnapped basically to do all like I don't know. And where are they coming from, by the way? Like, I don't know that too. Like, I mean,
I thought that like the townspeople were the townspeople were a part of all of that.
maybe. No idea.
That's what I assumed. I
I,
assumed too much.
yeah,
I
I
assumed.
mean, it kind of leaves you open to wonder about all this shit. And so I love that. I love movies that make you think and make you wonder about exactly what's going on. Not in a like, oh man, I wonder why they did that. But it was like more like I wonder what's going on. Like a little bit because you gotta have some mystery to it.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed the movie. I'd watch it again. There's not many, like I said, on this list I'd watch again, and this is one of them. So, I would definitely recommend people checking out the deep ones. If you listen to this, hopefully you've already seen it, because we spoiled the hell
Mhm.
out of it. So,
Yeah, we did. Sorry about that. It's
well,
just
no,
there was no
I
way
mean,
around that though. You
there.
had to,
First of all, like, yeah, I mean, this has been out for like 4 years at least. So,
yeah.
you
You had your chance and now you can either listen to us talk about it or watch it yourself.
or both. Listen to us talk about while you watch it yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, you can do
Gives
that
us
too.
kinda. We
Yeah.
might have been talking for the length of the freaking movie. Um, So yeah, we could have done our own little commentary track.
Right?
Actually, we'll kind of want to do that at some point for somebody else's movie. Because that's fun, like
Uh-huh.
doing that. But I don't know. It was an interesting film. I liked it. I like the characters, I like the story, I like the special effects. Everything was fun. I would
Yeah,
definitely recommend it.
same. I agree. It's not like a complete 5 star out of 5 star, but I don't hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's not 5 out of 5, but
Yeah.
I'd probably
But
give it a 3 out of 5, probably.
I do 3.5 out of
Ooh,
5.
you'd even go higher.
Um,
There you go.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, 3.5, 3.5. Just
yeah,
because like it did give me a little bit of a nostalgic sort of feel to it. Um, and I like I said, I grew up on like movies like that, and the fact that it did that in this current era of time, like not even like working too hard to do that, honestly, I
hmm
just feel it just gave me those nostalgic feels without it even being nostalgic. It was
exactly.
made to like a couple of years ago.
Right, and I mean they talk about like everything is very much in the 2020s, or whatever,
Mhm.
2019, 2020. Like it was
Yeah.
very set up for that.
I
So
yeah, I get that, but I'm like I don't know what makes me say constantly say that because you're right. It's like it doesn't say that it's made in like 1998 or something, you know. It's
right.
it's
I think maybe the
but it
look of
just
the
got that
film,
feel to it.
the look felt very 90s.
Is it the look that I'm thinking of?
I
Because I'm
think
not good
so.
at these words.
I think it's the look. I think it's like the fact that the way it's shot, the way that it was edited, everything did look very like one of the 90s, late 90s kind of movies, I mean, which is great. Maybe I don't know if that is Chad's style or not. I think he does do stuff like that, makes it look like a little older, for that time
Yeah.
period. But I thought it was, you know, I like the look too. I thought it was stylized really good and really well.
Hey.
And I hope people check it out. So Christina, tell people who you are. Like, what do you do?
Oh, hi. Hello. My name is Kristina Santiago. I am a Buffalo native here in oh wow, Buffalo, New York. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself.
That's fine.
I am an actor. I've done a couple like executive producer things here and there, writer for a couple things here and there, but I do mostly the Scream Queen actor stuff. So
So you
that
scream a
is
lot.
ah. How was that?
That was good. I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go out and you do all these acting bits in Buffalo. You've worked with some amazing directors and stuff,
Oh,
and yeah,
like who?
trust me, I follow. Oh, well, Adam for starts.
Adam. I love
Yes,
Adam.
I know. Didn't you just do the new Alien Umbrus movie?
Ambus. Yeah, I was in
Umbus,
Ambus. I'm in
Umbus. I
Ambus
don't know
too.
why I say Umbrus, but Umbus.
Ambris. Ambus too. Yeah, I am in
Umbrus is
there.
the Jewish version of. You're gonna be cutting off somebody's tip, and that, Umbris. Um, no, on this movie. Yeah, no, I saw the first one a while back, and
Oh,
everything. Yeah, no, Adam's been on my show before. He's really sweet. And I believe,
oh,
if I'm correct, my buddy Nicole Shiflett just worked on that, and she was just one of the actresses that we had on the show. I don't know if you remember Nicole.
I don't. I don't. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you
If
do
now
if
I'm
you
gonna like look her up and.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you'll be like, "Oh shit, I know exactly who that is." Um, sometimes you don't know by the names. But no, she was in that. She's been in a bunch of cool stuff, and she's from Virginia. So
Virginia. I got
yeah.
some friends in Virginia. I got some friends all over now.
Well, there you go. I'm
Like,
one of them, I hope. Unless you're like, I don't
hello.
like.
Yeah, wait. Where are you from? And
Where
I
you
want to know, do you go by John or Jonathan?
either one. Usually Jonathan because there's a billion Johns out there. There's a little less Jonathans.
Hmm.
Still a popular name, but not nearly as popular, you know.
I
Do
mean,
you go by Christina or do you go by Chris?
Christina, I am the long version. I'm like, there's nothing, you don't get anything in between.
You don't like does anybody ever call you Chris?
Some people, some people
So
have called me Stina, and some people have called me Tina. So I'm like,
Tina.
okay, yeah, that was a theater nickname of mine.
Oh wow. All right. Well, I guess you gotta get some kind of nickname in theater. That's what I've heard. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's neat. No, I'm from Williamsburg, Virginia. So,
Virginia. All right, not burnt you
yeah, there you
Virginia,
go. Hopefully it'll
Virginia,
be burned
Virginia.
in your brain right there. That's where like Busch
It
Gardens is, you know. Yeah.
sometimes, and then like if you take the monorail down to the back, you can see Disney World.
No, I'm saying Busch Gardens is actually in Williamsburg, Virginia.
What?
Yeah.
Get out! I
Yeah.
am such a derp.
Yeah. No, it's like there's two Busch Gardens, one in Florida in Tampa, and then there's one
And then
here
one
in
in
Williamsburg. Yeah. So,
Not West Virginia, Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah. West Virginia is a whole new state, a whole nother state. Some people actually thought that means it's just actual West Virginia. And I'm not gonna say who, will say that to me, who said that to me in the past. They actually were like, wait, there's an actual West Virginia state. Yes, there's a West Virginia state. It's where the Wrong Turn movies take place, you know.
Man, oh
No,
man.
but
Everybody's got their urban legend, their horror story.
I
Everybody
know.
does.
And I mean, so yeah, so I love that you've been working out there and continuing to work,
Yeah,
out there in
always.
Buffalo. It's gotta be tough though, like period. Just I'm a filmmaker, so I don't have to worry about like auditions or anything. I'm the one
Hmm.
who handles that shit. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, like in the words of my mom, the worst they can tell you is no. That's just basically like just do your best, and the worst they can
or
tell you is no.
I think the
That's
worst
it.
is when you just don't hear from them, you know. That's like
That too,
literally
that too.
people think like, oh, that would be okay not to. No, because you're always wondering,
Hmm.
are they gonna call me?
Like
Or are
maybe
they?
they're just running late. Maybe there was just too many audition submissions, and they just haven't gotten to yours yet, or they haven't finished going through all the auditions yet. And yeah, no, that would be worse. You're right. You're very right.
But it
Get
was
my anxiety brain just go through the roof.
there was that line in Swingers. You ever seen that movie, Swingers, with Jon Favreau?
Was that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have.
Yeah. And he goes like he's talking to one of the guys and he's like uh you know something about not telling his grandma that he got the part or whatever. Or
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
and then he was like well they haven't I haven't actually heard a no yet. And he was like, "Oh, so you just haven't told them. You haven't told your
Hmm.
grandparents yet that you didn't get the part or whatever,
Yeah.
right?" Like, and that's sad thing is being actors, like, especially if you're out there trying your hardest and you tell people, "Oh,
Hmm.
I might have this really big opportunity," and then you don't hear back or whatever,
Yeah.
and stuff. It's
It
a
is a
sad.
tough world, but I guess that's just you just gotta roll with the punches and just keep trying. If you really have like this as your dream, do
Hmm.
it. Go out, put your whole soul into it because this is not, it's not, I don't want to say it's not for the weak because I'm like, if you work really hard on something that you really want to achieve, you can achieve anything. And I do believe like acting is a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and a lot of like put yourself out there. And a lot of people don't want to do that. It's
Well,
it's a tough, tough world.
it isn't for
But
the weak. You're right. And that
mhm,
sounds cold, but like the truth
but it's
is, if you
fact.
can't handle it, then there are other jobs to do. Like at
Yeah.
this, I hate to say it because I don't like any actor leaving this industry. Like I want all actors to continue to try to succeed. But
Hmm.
like, uh, my my former roommate, is like my best friend, Jackie. We hung out when I was living in LA and I was like her roommate in LA. And there was this guy that she was really good friends with. And she was telling me like at one point he was a childhood star, Like he was this guy who been a bunch of things. Now he was working with her at like a restaurant, as a waiter, server. You know, servers get the job because then they can go off and do auditions and do that stuff. Like it's flexible work. But like it's a hard business, and
Mhm.
stuff, right? And
Yeah.
so they're always waiting for whatever and me personally, I mean, I met the person and I thought, "Oh wow, I never heard of this person." you know.
Hmm.
But like I didn't want them to like I don't want any of them to like quit, because they're
Yeah.
not getting work, and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Like if you can't take that, then this job isn't for you, and that's
Yeah.
fine. If you really don't want to do it, this is like just something you're just not into. Go
Hmm.
ahead and retire. It's just sad because like I know a couple people have retired. I'm like, I've wanted to work with you so bad.
Oh.
Now I can't, and they don't want to come back
Yeah.
because a lot of
Yeah.
people just don't like this industry. You know,
Yeah.
it's not for everybody.
It is really not, and I hate to like say that.
Yeah.
Because I really just don't ever want to knock people's like dreams out of their brains because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are always rooting for you to fail, especially in something like this. You're like, no, it's like a 1 in a million sort of chance. Like some people believe themselves to be 1 in a million.
Hmm.
So let them. And when they say they tried and they failed, it's okay because guess what? They did these things that a lot of
You
people wouldn't even
tried,
try to do.
and even if you
Tried.
actually, you never fail if you don't quit.
Hmm.
I don't know where I
Like,
heard that
what
from,
was
but
it? Betty White was what in her 50s when she first got her stuff going,
right.
like really going in film.
George
So
Clooney didn't get his big hit till he got ER, and I think he was in his 30s or 40s at that time.
exactly.
But he had done things, but like small things, like I think he was like
Hmm.
in one of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something, things like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know that for a fact.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure, so I'm gonna look that up so I don't look like a complete
Yeah,
idiot.
the
But
craziest thing is like I should know at least some of this sort of like stuff because I was on like a horror game show. I was a host for a horror game show.
really,
Yeah, and you'd think I'd know these little tidbit things of information. No, I do not.
well, I mean, you probably forget after a while, because like, yeah, Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Whew, I was glad. He was also in
Mhm.
Grizzly 2, if I'm correct.
Grizzly
Yeah, Grizzly
too.
2, The Revenge. It's not The Revenge, it's just Revenge, you know. So he's been in some horror films, and then he was obviously in From Dusk Till Dawn and and whatnot, so he's no stranger to it. Um, which is great because, as horror, fans and people love to kind of see that big time actors actually don't this genre. Because there are a lot of people like I saw interview with Danielle Fishel, and she was talking about she auditioned for Cabin Fever. It was like one of the worst auditions she ever had. But I'm glad she didn't get it because they got writer strong, and if they had two people from Boy Meets World in it, it might be a very confusing movie.
Yeah, I
Um,
forgot that part. Yeah, I forgot that he got in that. That
yeah,
is,
but
but that's one of like my favorites too. So
yeah.
I forgot that. Ah,
But she auditioned for it, and however, she had told her agent she would never do a soap opera and she'd never do a horror movie. And then she wasn't getting anything, like no auditions for anything except soap operas and
and horror.
horror films. So she auditioned for one for yeah, she talked about on like there was a podcast called like Worst Audition Ever. And it's a great podcast that I think Christine Lakin co-created with somebody. And I used to listen to it all the time, or whatever, or watch it. I think you can watch it on YouTube too. Um, but I loved it and it was so fun. And yeah, had a great time. So I love
Awesome.
that. Like I love um, you know, like I love horror film kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
people talking about it and stuff. And you should listen to that audition because I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it was embarrassing. Like it really
Ooh,
was
I
the
will have
worst
to watch it
audition.
then.
Yeah, Danielle Fishel does a great job she kind of made me cringe at a couple of times. So,
Oh,
and it's really good. And I'm sad that she'll never do really horror or anything. I mean, she
hmm
didn't get that job, obviously. And I don't think she
Yeah.
got the soap opera job either. Um, but you know, I don't think she's hurting right now. I think she's doing
Yeah, no, because
pretty well.
the Corey meets World
Girl
or
Meets World, yeah.
Girl
I
meets World.
I was I was I wanted to love it so much, but it just felt like another Disney show, and that was
hmm
my only problem with it because I grew up on Boy Meets World, so I thought
Yeah,
the same humor would come back, and I guess things have changed, man. For kids is a lot different, and I think
yeah.
it's way too over exaggerated, and everything is just too like over the top. And I'm like, is this really what kids find funny now? Like it confuses me, you know? Like I thought, I liked well, then again, it did sort of go that way at the end of Boy Meets World, toward the end where it got really goofy and silly in the college years. So maybe that's where they wanted to go to the next one. But anywho, that has nothing to do with this movie. So um thank you so much. How can people reach you?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I have like a basically the same name for all of them except for my Facebook, which is my actual name, Kristina Santiago, Christina with the K. And all of my other ones are KR23. So or
AR-23.
KR Santiago 23. So
Yeah, because be careful. KR-23 could be somebody else.
it can be absolutely be somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
who that is, but you might want to watch out for that. You know,
yeah,
um,
I'll be sure to watch out for my arch nemesis.
like don't be sending your fans over to us. You
Yeah,
know,
like we don't want them.
we're
Like
not
we can.
KR Christian Santiago. We
Yeah,
are KR-23 or whatever.
yeah,
Anyway,
which is its own weird cult or something.
they're the deep ones part two.
Yeah.
And sadly, they couldn't. I don't think they can make a Deep Ones Part Two from this movie because it kind of ended sort of
Mhm.
like where it would have already, like it was kind of the perfect
If they
ending
did
for it.
that, it would just feel like a repeat. It's like because
Yeah,
they basically showed the repeat at the end. So
yeah. So it'd be it would be a repeat of it, and I wouldn't want that. We already get that with remakes and stuff. We don't need sequels to do that too, because after a while, like you have to switch it up and be different, So, but
Mhm.
maybe it would be different. I don't know. Ah, who
Yeah.
knows? If they did a sequel, I'd watch it. But I
We'll
would
be
pref
back to talk about it.
yeah. I would prefer if Chad directed another H.P. Lovecraft story, instead,
Mhm.
like something else adapted, Dunwich Horror or, something like that. I'd be down with that, you
Yeah.
know. But all right, everybody. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, everybody else, for checking out this podcast. Join me tomorrow for a brand new episode and a brand new guest. And until then, everybody, I know Christina will be back sometime, I'm sure, unless she had a terrible time today,
Absolutely.
then, you
Oh, I
know.
loved it. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
So
you have
much
to say that
fun.
if you're still on the air. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
all right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this and talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.